It's Neva at timeforinvesting.com, where we just talk real estate. And today I'm going to talk to you about when you're just starting out and you're just implementing everything you read in these books and you're like, okay, I'm not seeing the results that everybody else is seeing. I'm going to give you a tip and let you know that you are not wasting your time, because the same thing happened to me in the beginning. So I told you I'm going to use some of my real transactions that I've closed on. I will always use closed transactions because I will never discuss things I'm currently working on, because that's one of the tips. People will be out here trying to steal your deal. So today I want to talk to you about, when you're just starting out, you've read tons of books, probably visited every real estate investing website out there, YouTube channels, everything. You finally get to the point where you're implementing everything you've learned and you're like, I am not getting the results that everybody else is getting. What is going on? So that is what happened to me. I started marketing like a maniac. I signed up with a mentor. I was doing everything. I had my website up. I was screaming, telling all my friends, I'm looking for property to buy. I'm looking for property to buy. And like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6, 7, 8 months passed. I was like, what in the world is going on? I still have not closed on anything. So finally, I get a contract, it's signed, I get it under contract for 65% of the after repair value, factor in the repair costs, everything. Send it out to the buyer's list. At the time, I didn't have a buyer's list, so my mentor shared his buyer's list with me. And all these cash buyers rush out to the house as soon as the email goes out. So I'm like, okay, I'm definitely getting the contract. Tons of people went to this house. Everybody starts coming back. They're not interested. I'm like, what in the world is going on? So one by one, all these cash buyers went. None of them, wanted to sign a contract. So I was like devastated, because remember, I've been marketing for like how long? I'm thinking, you know what? This is probably the point where people start saying this is some type of scam. I knew this wasn't going to work. But instead, what I did was I called the cash buyers that went out to the house that were not interested, and I asked them, hey, why are you not interested? And they had like so many different answers, right? So it turned into a really great learning experience for me, because I learned everything out here is not just following the book. Once you start implementing, yes, that's when you're really going to start learning. So the issues with the house, they told me, they said, listen, the price you had the house under, perfect, okay? But the reason why I'm not buying it is one of them hated the house because it was on a dead-end road. He was like, oh, it's on a dead end, a cul-de-sac. People love to live on a cul-de-sac, but not a dead-end road. So he didn't want to renovate it and then have a hard time reselling it, because a typical buyer does not want to be on a dead-end road, right? And so that's when I started learning that rehabbers, they think like the traditional buyer. They think, okay, after I renovate this house, I want it to appeal to majority of buyers on the market. They don't want to renovate a house and then it only appeals to 10% of people that are looking, right? Because they want to renovate and sell quickly. So a rehabber is thinking like that end buyer, that traditional buyer. And then a wholesaler, which is what I do, and if you're starting out, what you should do is try to wholesale, you have to learn to think like a rehabber, right? So that's what I do now. So they said, okay, this house on the dead-end road, they said this house has like way too many steps and there's no garage. And a typical buyer, the guy says to me, he's like, listen, a typical buyer, if it has a garage, you're going to go through the garage, right? Which is what I do with my house. I usually go through the garage and then I walk through the kitchen into my house. Very rarely do I go through my front door. So it's perfect. But with a ton of steps and no garage, then that person has to go up those steps. And you have to think, with groceries, a baby, oh no. That's what I would tell my husband. We were not buying that house. So that's what he's thinking as a rehabber. He's like, that is what the traditional buyer is going to say. They're going to say, no, I love the repairs and everything, but I don't want to go up those steps every day, right? The next thing was the house, which is probably the biggest thing, was tiny, okay? The house was 700 square feet. But what I thought, because like there was like all this land in the back, so I thought, oh, whoever buys this can renovate it. You know, they're going to extend it out, expand it. Because that's what I see on all these flip shows on TV, right? But all the cash buyers, they said, listen, permits for expansions take forever. I just want to get in and get out. I don't want to wait for them to come and approve the permit. And then I'm sitting there, you know, paying interest on the money I borrowed to fix this house because I have to wait on permits. So rehabbers don't like to wait on permits. At least my rehabbers in my area here in DC area, they don't like to wait on permits. They want to get in, renovate that house, and get out as quickly as possible. So I say all this to say that now when I look back, it was not a complete loss, right? Because I learned so much, right? When you start implementing, that is when you really learn. Like, I mean, this is like, you know, this is all the street smart stuff that, you know, you're getting, I got directly from a rehabber, not a book, you know, not a guru, but someone that has cash that is right here with me, ready to buy a property and start renovating, and they're giving me, you know, all these gems of knowledge. So luckily, what I would say to you, be glad for that information, be glad for the time, because starting out, you're learning everything in implementation. You're learning how to market, you have to learn how to negotiate, how to talk to sellers, how to talk to tenants, how to talk to title companies, I mean, it's just so much that you're learning all at once. You're learning your system, what system you're using, your follow-up. You're just trying to implement, so you're learning so much. So give yourself a chance to learn also when you start implementing everything, because don't think that you're going to start implementing and then you're going to be a whiz at everything you're trying to implement, because you're implementing a lot. This is a totally different skill that you're learning, right? So I'm going to go back to the 4 questions that I'm supposed to answer for every single video, which is, the first one is, which marketing did I use? So for this one at the time, I did postcards, and I was using Vistaprint at the time. And I sent postcards out, and it was to an out-of-state owner, and she called me. We negotiated the price. What's my second question? I forgot. Oh, the second question, what was the owner needs? She was out of state. The house was trashed. I'm going to load some pictures so you guys can see it was trashed. And she knew that. She hadn't been in the house for years. And so she was kind of like, this house needs to be completely redone. And, you know, so that's how I was really able to negotiate a great price, because she was in agreement that this house just needed a lot of repair, right? And how did I find a cash buyer? At the time, my mentor, because I was in his program, basically shared his buyers list with me. So that was great, because then I was able to grow my buyers list right in the beginning. So see, tons of learning came from this, even though I never closed. And then 4. What crazy happened? Well, what more crazy can happen than you don't get to close because you can't find a cash buyer that will buy it? So I had to go back to the property owner and explain to her that you know, I needed to cancel my contract with her, because even when I started to reduce the price, because she even agreed to reduce the price, you know, I let her know, man, my investors are just, you know, they just are not interested at all. So this is my tip to you, that this happens to the best of us. And for me, of course, you know, it happened on my very first one. I don't know if anything can be as demotivating as that. But please, you know, I would tell you to hang in there, because I'm not one of those people that sent out postcards and immediately got a deal. I marketed for a really long time, and before I actually closed on something. And then I guess my next video, I'm going to do my first deal, so you guys can see, at least after this disaster here, that I was actually able to close on something. So stay tuned for that one, and see you next video. Bye-bye.